Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. 1333, 1333. Let's just give a check over here. Okay, I am streaming in 1080 SD. Alright then. See who's out there. Hello to the 3 people that are watching currently. Hopefully the stream is streaming well. You're hearing me very well. And I have the live chat here at the side. Hey, Eddie Van Haskell. So, hello to folks out there. Let me just mute my real-time thing here. It's so different talking through the or streaming through the interface. I've kind of got like about a 10 or 15 second delay. Yeah, Eddie, I do talk pretty low to begin with. I really should invest in some type of line booster or something. I've turned the preamp more up on the Behringer DI box, so I should be coming over louder. Hello, Lonnie, and welcome. For viewers. So I'm just going to basically, because I know there's going to be a ton of NAMM coverage here. As we know, the varying people that we know that are there at NAMM. Ben Coombs, JJ's House Jam, Aaron at Albus Band, representing Flipside Music. And for the stream, I am, of course, wearing my designed Canucks with Guitars logo that you can buy in the Canucks with Guitars merch store. Little bit of a promotion there, even though I'm not an official Canucks with Guitars person. At least, I don't think. Thanks for the advice, Eddie. Yeah, that probably would help a little bit. So, what I'm going to do along those lines is, I don't know how long I'm going to do this stream, but I thought that it would be nice for us to look at some of the things that have kind of sneaked out, at least in regards to things that I have an interest in. Some people out there might not have the same interest in the instruments or companies, but so far I would say these have been kind of interesting things that have occurred. First up, well, I was originally going to start to do this about Epiphone. Over my Facebook feed, I see a post made by, of course, as you see here on the screen, Guild. And Guild is one of the companies that I actually do like and would like to get some instruments from. Again, when you talk about the big G's of the US, I'm not a super big fan of Gibson, but of other companies in the US that start with a G, Guild is one of the companies that I would like to get instruments from. Even though there's very few of their instruments that are US made, but at the same time, there's not too many companies that are making instruments in the US at the moment. To me, US made product is of no interest to me, nor do I care, because instruments for the most part are made pretty much nowadays at a good enough quality level that there are numerous factories out there all over the world that are putting out instruments of good quality levels, whether they be a $200 instrument or a $2,000 or we'll say $20,000 instrument. Oh, that's cool to know, Eddie Van Haskell. And is this a reissue of the early Starfire? I do not have that sufficient knowledge far back, Lonnie, of Guild, and if this is an earlier a reissue of the early Starfire. Let me just move my cursor over here and start scrolling through. So here is basically the page where it talks about the introduction of the Starfire 1 series. And the big thing that welcome, Pete Hickson. Nice to see you. First up, like I said, the Starfire 1 series that has just been launched at NAMM by Guild. Actually, let me just take myself here out of the picture. That way it's a lot easier for folks to see the page. So, Starfire 1 series is being launched by Guild. I haven't seen if any of these are in stores yet, but they are single cuts in in double cuts, as you see here. And here's the big thing here that brought my attention to it. I mean, being on a limited budget and a limited income, it's hard to get into some of these guitars like the Gibsons, like the Guilds, and so forth and so forth. So when I read through the little release thing of it, this really jumped at me right away, which is they're starting at a $499 street price, which I'm assuming is $499 US. This will be excellent for US folks. For those of us up here in Canada, it's going to probably put the instrument in probably about the 700 range, maybe the 600 range. But still, it'll definitely be a lot cheaper than what the current higher things go for, like the Starfire 4 that Lonnie mentions that he had bought a year ago in the side chat. So let's look at the stuff here. Starting at a $499 street, the new Starfire 1 family takes the iconic Starfire double cut and single cut body shape into the modern era with new models and colors. All models feature the appointments any gigger or recording musician requires, including a tried and true tunematic bridge, premium Guild vintage 18 open back tuners with 18:1 ratio, an easily accessible 12-inch radius rosewood fretboard, and thin U neck profile, a traditional 3-way toggle switch with dedicated volume and tone controls, and a push-pull coil splitting for each pickup. Now that I didn't see. That's interesting. An injection of rich vintage tone is provided by Guild's own HB2 Alnico 2 humbuckers featured on all Starfire 1 models, giving these semi-hollow bodies a professional tone from the start. For those looking for something a little extra, the Starfire 1 GVT comes equipped with a tunematic bridge and a Guild's vibrato tailpiece for additional tonal versatility. Guild's engineering team worked tirelessly to bring the classic aesthetics and road-ready quality that has been synonymous with Guild to the newly competitive priced Starfire 1 platform. Get ready to get rowdy. I wish Jackson didn't. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Hey, Queen Helen. So, let's scroll down and see some of these things. See some of the models. So, they got apparently single cuts, hardtail, trimmed, and the double cuts in hardtail and trim. So, a cherry red. Nothing found. Well, you can tell it's a new post from them. So, cherry red, seafoam green, snowcrest white, antique burst, and a pelham blue. Are the colors that they're going to be having for the series. Now, I would play the video, but I don't think I have the... Oh, actually... Let's do that.
This is the Starfire 1 DC, which is double cut, and it's in cherry red. It comes with a stop tail piece for stable tuning and it gives it a ton of sustain. What's really great about this model is that it is built off of a very classic design. So you still have the center block through it, and it's hollow on both sides. It has an added vibrato on it, which lends to more expressive playing, but also the push-pull pots give it so much versatility that it spans multi-generations of music, and it comes in at a price point that allows you to play a very professional instrument at a very reasonable rate. Well, I like these new HB2 pickups. They retain all the classic tone that you would want from the HB1 pickup, which was standard in the guitars for the last 60 years. The only real difference is that the dimensions of the pickups themselves are standardized. So any player can swap in other pickup combinations at their choosing. So it gives the guitar a lot more versatility without having to modify the instrument itself. But for me, I like the classic tone. It's really chimey, it's really transparent, and it's reminiscent of the history of the guitar. So this is the Starfire 1 SC, and SC stands for single cut. It has all of the same appointments as the double cut. The only real difference is that there is a block underneath the bridge to keep everything in place, and the rest of the body is fully hollow. So this instrument has a lot more of an acoustic quality to it than the double cut does. It's kind of fun to play even not plugged in. This neck is really fast because it's been modernized. It went from more of a chunky C shape to a modern U shape. 24 3/4 scale length neck still, but the fretboard radius is 12.5, so it's a little more flat, which makes it a little faster, especially for lead players. It's also bound, as with the rest of the body, so it gives it a really nice classic look. I really dig the new push-pull coil splitting option on these guitars because it basically allows the pickups to go into a single coil mode, so it gives it a lot more tonal dimension. You actually, with the three-way selector, get 8 different tone options out of the guitar. So it'll cover a range of different styles, so it's suitable for any kind of player.
And there you have it, folks. Looking at the video again, I really am impressed with the sound that these guitars are probably going to have. The thing that I find interesting is, given light to what we will be seeing here in a second, is the price point that Guild is putting these at are actually going to lend a lot more kind of competition to Epiphone's stuff that they've just launched and announced. Pre-name and now officially at name day one. And again, I'm curious to see how the pricing of these will come around. If these can be in that even if these can come in at that $700 to $800 Canadian range, then these have a very good chance at selling. Especially if they can come in at like under 700 Canadian. Again, $499 US, I would have to venture to guess, is probably like the dual cut with the stop tail. And I'm not sure if they're going to put a price premium on colors, but at the same time, still $499 street for a semi-hollow 12-inch radius, Alnico 2 pickups, some nice looking finishes and colors. It looks to be a solid product that's going to come to the market. Will it be? Yeah, the Pelham Blue. Pelham Blue is a really popular color that a lot of the traditional guitar manufacturers are going to nowadays. So, again, Starfire 1 starting at $499 US street. Definitely is going to be interesting 2020, and definitely might make it that there's going to be a little bit more maybe people of guilds rolling around this year on YouTube. So if that said, let's close out this browser tab and let's move on to the second thing here. So as I mentioned, the new Epiphone lineup has actually launched. Let's zoom this in a little bit more so it's a little bit more kind of bigger on screen. Okay, so Z Sounds. Yeah, Lonnie, exactly. So Z Sounds is one of the first retailers online that has actually posted up the new Epiphone lineup that Gibson has announced. And we will take a look from the bottom down. I don't know why this is unfortunately displaying only 20. Let's bump it to 40. I think there's 40 new, believe it or not, there is around 40 new Epiphone models that Gibson is launching right now. If we include a recent such as the George Thorogood. Hey, 6 strings and 10 fingers. Welcome. This Thorogood model was one of the first ones to have the new dovetail headstock, which we will show the back of. And cool thing about this guitar is actually George's signature on it. Another thing that I've discovered when I skimmed through all these products is this right here. All the Epiphones are coming out of their China factory. So, anyways, the George Thorogood is one of the first ones. The second one that came out that was known with the new headstock is, of course, the umpteenth model of the Joe Bonamassa 1960 Les Paul Standard in Norm Burst with case, which actually is a... They've done a really nice job on the finishes of these. And again, it has the new slope dovetail headstock. And this, of course, is retailing for $6.99 US. Now, this I never heard was coming out. Not even a clue that it actually was a model. So this, I believe... Oh, this is an old model. Old headstock. The old school headstock. But I never knew that they actually put out one of these Epiphone lights. So this is actually an old model. This is not a new one. Still, $6.49, not bad. But let's start from the bottom of the barrel with the new ones that are coming out. Here is our first one. Only available in one color. And it is on pre-order today from Z Sounds, as are most of these, with an expected date of January 20th availability. This is the Les Paul Special in TV yellow. And a really grainy graphic. But you kind of get the idea of it. Dual P90s. P90 Pro soap bar single coil pickups with CTS electronics. Mahogany body. So a lot of these are going to have very similar specs in wood materials. So here's an example for this one that's coming up a lot, which is, again, mahogany body, mahogany neck with a 50s profile, again the regular 24.75 inch scale radius, fingerboard 12-inch radius, 22 frets, medium jumbo, Graphtec nut width 1.693 inches, perloid dots, nickel hardware, and of note, Indian laurel is the fretboard material on this one. Now, again, you'll notice our... Hey, Rick Hefner. Glad to have you pop in. So now, let's move to the next one, which is, again, part of their tribute collection that matches up with the Gibson line of things. We have the Epiphone Les Paul Standard 50s. So right here we have it, and they're offering it in 3 finishes. They're offering it in a Heritage Cherry Sunburst, a metallic gold, which looks rather nice, and a vintage Sunburst satin. So they're kind of differentiating between them. Again, the headstock having the same new look. And these are starting off at a $5.99 US price point, which again points back to earlier in the video stream where I said about how Guild launching their Starfire 1 series at a $4.99 price point is going to make it interesting in regards to anyone that actually might flip-flop between the Epiphone brand and the Guild brand, because especially in the way of a Epiphone double cut, you now actually are going to have a really hard choice to go between an Epiphone .335 and the Guild Starfire 1. So again, specs with these are again mahogany body, maple cap, mahogany neck with long neck tenon, which again some people value, powered by Pro Bucker humbuckers with 50 style wiring and CTS electronics. Specs again are cream binding, maple cap, mahogany body, mahogany neck, profile of a 59 rounded medium C, 22 frets, Graphtec nut, a Pro Bucker, an Epiphone Pro Bucker 2 in the neck, Epiphone Pro Bucker 3 in the bridge, 2 volume 2 tone with CTS pots, and a 50 style wiring. Now that I actually think is an excellent idea, that they're adding that extra bit of value to it. Now the only thing that doesn't list on here is what this fingerboard is, but I would suspect that that's probably a rosewood fingerboard that they put on this, because I believe they went rosewood on the other model. So next up in the lineup, the Epiphone SG Standard 61. Again, the newer headstock. Here's something I'm going to point out as well too. Hey James Severin, nice to see you over here. So if I reply to something in chat and it's a little bit delayed again, that's because I've got it, that there's a bit of a delay on the stream. So you'll have to excuse me with that. So I'm going to point this out as well here too, while this has a better view of the headstock and I have this highlighted. For the life of me, I don't know why Gibson does not do away with the 3-bolt truss rod cover. It just makes absolutely no sense when they already have the 2-button style, and if they are actually putting a piece of wood here down where the 2 screws are, there's no reason why they can't actually just have the bottom screw go in there. Or even do like ESP and some other people, just do only the top screw, and it would save Gibson a ton more money instead of having to do a different truss rod cover for the Epiphone range of guitars. So the guitar will retail for $449 US. Well, and I did not notice that, but it is actually in stock today. Wow, that is very nice. So scroll down the fretboard here. If these are fake, these are probably fake perloid inlays, but I must say they're actually a really nice looking inlay for fake. Again, some of the details on the guitar. Click on some of the other photos here. As someone who likes the SG guitar, with the new headstock, I definitely would be interested in a Epiphone SG like this one. The only thing that I find weird of note, and you'll probably see it in a close-up, a better close-up, but you can see like what Ben Coombs was saying earlier in his interview with Al Jean that he posted up earlier today. They really have gone out of their way to really define the butter finishes on these guitars. Like, I know some people aren't a big fan of the Epiphone headstock to begin with, but I mean, this really kind of remedies the people wanting a closer to book open headstock look. And to me, I think it really does help on these more traditional instruments like the SGs and the LPs. Now, I'm going to highlight this section here. Yeah. If you look here, you don't see it very well, and you can't see it on this angle, but the really odd thing is it, as you see here, there looks like there's an actual like line that it almost looks like, instead of putting a scarf joint down here lower on the neck, it actually looks like they've created a scarf joint on the headstock, and somehow they've been able to blend it in, which I'm not objected or don't have an issue with. So again, this is apparently available right now from Z Sounds for $450 US. Epiphone Pro Bucker pickups. Hey, Marsman. Nice to see you. So this has Epiphone Pro Bucker pickups, a 1960s slim taper D-neck profile, and again, as I mentioned here about the fingerboards, here we start seeing where this lineup actually has a lot of variations in it. And on this model, this has a laurel fingerboard, chocolate hue, similar feel and tone to rosewood. Indian laurel, 12-inch radius, 22 medium jumbo frets, Graphtec nuts. 2 volume, 2 tone, 1 toggle switch, CTS parts. So again, for the third time. Well, actually, wait a second. Did it say what the pickups were? No, it is just the... Oh, sorry. Pickups are Pro Bucker 2 in the neck and Pro Bucker 3. So it looks like a lot of these guitars are going to have that in their lineup. So again, Indian Laurel fingerboard, trapezoid inlays, Locktone ABR tunematic bridge, ProBucker 2, ProBucker 3. Oh, strings 10 through 46s. All mahogany, vintage cherry finish, $450 US. So next up in the lineup is the exact same guitar except with the Maestro Vibrola. La 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 la. So again, vintage cherry, basically the same thing as what we were just looking at, except with the trim. And this one is $100 more, but it is a expected January 20th. Whether they've actually fixed anything with the tremolo is to be seen. Everything is basically the same. Pre-order for January 20th, $550. Next up, this one has actually caught in my eye, and I would actually be very interested in grabbing one of these at some point in time, very possibly, and to replace the SGJ that I modded. This is again pre-ordered, available January 20th. The Epiphone SG Custom Electric Guitar, a price point of $579. And I actually got to... Hey, Tempest. I actually got to see at Gilbert's Guitar in Aurelia, Ontario, Canada, the Gibson version of this guitar, and it was very stunning looking. Very, very stunning looking. Now, this unfortunately they have very limited to pictures, and as you can see, the picture quality isn't very good either as we do the zoom in thing on it. But to pick up, gold hardware, block inlay, and the only bad thing about this guitar is it looks great like this, but it would look super slick in a white version as well too. So gold hardware, mahogany body and neck. Now remember when I said that it seems through the new lineup they're varying woods, especially along the lines of fingerboards. Here's where it gets interesting. So as it reads here, SG Custom from the new Inspired by Gibson collection recreates the legendary 1960s era SG with LP custom style binding that became a hard rock and heavy metal classic. SG debuted in '61 to replace the Les Paul, which had been temporarily discontinued because of low sales. The SG Custom features an ebony fingerboard. That's right. That is not Richlight. It's not Indian Laurel. Not any of those things. It's a genuine ebony fingerboard. Custom LP custom style inlays, gold hardware, Alnico Classic Pro humbuckers. So again, we'll skim through the thing here. It's perloid blocks, medium jumbo frets, 12-inch radius which is a welcome because for a long time there was actually Epiphones that were being made with 14-inch radiuses, I believe. Binding on the neck, white headstock, split diamond, mahogany, slim taper neck profile, perloid blocks, gold hardware, gold tuning plates, tuning machines, Epiphone Deluxe with ivory plastic buttons, black pickguard, black top hats with insert knobs, 2 strap buttons. As if you would have to actually put this strap buttons too. Is there going to be a guitar manufacturer out there that's actually going to put 4 strap buttons on a guitar? It's crazy. So, again, here's the difference between the 61 and the custom, the pickups. This guitar will have the Alnico Classic Pro humbucker, in the bridge and neck pickup position. What actual Classic Pro pickup this is, I am not sure. Is it the Epiphone branded one, or is it actually the Gibson? It'll be interesting to know. So, woods and looks and everything else, to me at $580 US, I think this is going to be one of those like killer SGs to pick up if you're not all crazy about Epiphone being written across the headstock or the look of the headstock. Next up, another new one to the collection. Again, only one color. You will see that with probably about half of these guitars. It is a $599 price point. US. Expected January 20th, so pre-order from Z Sounds again. We have the Epiphone Flying V in ebony. And again, 60s slim taper C neck. Epiphone Pro Bucker pickups. Mahogany body, of course. And it's basically no different. CTS electronics. Epiphone Vintage Deluxe tuners. Mahogany body. Mahogany neck. Gloss ebony finish. Again, fingerboard material, Indian laurel, as we see again. The Pro Bucker 2 and 3 in the neck and bridge position. 2 volume, 1 tone. Pretty much, you know, I thought they actually were going to have this guitar in a natural finish like they did last year, but again, they're not doing it. $600, again, if you're a Flying V fan and you can't afford the $1,500 for a Gibson one, I don't think there would be very much, you wouldn't be losing out much having the Epiphone version. And continuing up the list, we're finally starting to work our way to about the halfway point of the models. The Epiphone Explorer, same price point as the Flying V, same basic finish and configuration again. Indian Laurel fingerboard, medium jumbo, 22 frets, 12-inch radius, gloss finish, black speed knobs, Pro Bucker 2 in the neck, Pro Bucker 3 in the bridge, and this guitar is on pre-order from Z Sounds at the moment. Again, January 20th. In the way of Explorers, I actually don't mind the Explorer. I never have actually gotten my hands on one to play, but I do like the style. Next up, the guitar that people either love or hate. Epiphone Firebird. This is again pre-order expected January 20th. Sale price of $5.99 US. And only one color at this point in time, a vintage sunburst. Again, it's kind of crappy that they got these kind of grainy preview photos for some of these things, but I guess they can't get everything in time. Here's something of interest I noticed, and I'll come back to it here in a second. First of all, it's got the mini humbuckers in this one, which is kind of a cool aspect, because that's how most of them are. But look as we go here. Notice that behind those three strings there, darker section of wood. As you see here between the pickups and down further, it appears that they've done a multi-laminate neck on it. Hey, Steve Luther, and no problem. That was kind of the idea of doing this, because it's like you said, there is a lot of background noise in that, and I mean, I'm only doing limited amounts of stuff here. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed to my channel, as I take this point in time to say this, you know, I would love to have you sub, and one of my goals for this year is to finally break the 1,000 mark and maybe get monetized. Otherwise, I am happy to do whatever I normally do over this private channel of mine, and I appreciate and thank all you folks out there that actually do take the time to thank me and help me out in whatever way possible. Again, thank you very much, and I hope you are all having a awesome 2020 so far. So, with that said, let's get back to this here. Again, Indian Laurel fingerboard, mahogany body, neck through body construction, the Epiphone Pro Bucker FB720 pickups. So I believe those are new pickups that they must have designed for when they were going to launch this. Hey, Wilmar, nice having you. Thanks for stopping by. So, let's see here. As I was mentioning before, a lot of the materials going into these instruments are actually, some of them are common, and some of them Gibson and their engineers have decided to actually kind of mix up some. So here's another example of such wood mixing. So remember, I was talking about the stripe down the middle of the neck and the body in the middle third of it. Here's actually what's gone on is neck material that is actually a layered mahogany and walnut. So that is going to make it a little bit heavier, but the fact that adding the walnut in there is also going to help with the sustain and the stability of the neck as well too. So that's awesome that they're doing that. Again, gloss finish, mahogany. Profile is a slim taper C profile. Again, Indian laurel fingerboard. A lot of these kind of common ranged guitars that are coming out in this Epiphone kind of tribute / collection series is going to have Indian laurel as the bass fingerboard wood. Medium jumbo frets, 22, Graphtec nut, trapezoid inlays, nickel, Grover Mini 18:1 ratio machine heads. That's another thing as well too that you will find on some of these upper ranged limits, is they actually are putting Grover tuners into them. Control knobs, gold inserts. Neck pickup and bridge pickup, both the Pro Bucker Firebird 7020 model. So it's going to be interesting to see how this guitar comes out sound wise. Oddly enough, it still says the shipping weight of 18 pounds like all the other models. Very strange. So again, $5.99 Z Sounds. You could find it better at another American retailer. Up here in Canada, well, at that price point, it's probably going to be about close to $1,000 then. And these are on pre-order January 20th. And now we get into some of the interesting models as well too. And yes, smash the like button. Thank you very much for those of you that have. Don't mind me a little coffee sip. Now we get into an interesting mix of guitars coming up. There is only one color for this, and this is the new Epiphone SG Modern Figured Electric. Again, that I didn't notice before, but the truss rod cover screws on this are actually black. It's interesting. I think it actually helps with the headstock in this way than on this color scheme. So again, and as you notice here, fingerboard's a little bit different looking. Perloid inlay, but they're actually not, they're not too cheap and boring looking. They're actually decent. And again, seems to be well finished. And as we see here, there is a nice kind of unburst. I would say that looks like an unburst more than a anything else. So it's a transparent black fade. It is a $550 US price point. Pre-order expected for January 20th. Let's take a side view. As you can see here, Grover locking tuners, which is again something that Aljon said that they were striving to do with the new lineup of Epiphones, was to make it that it was a more friendlier, and I guess you could say, as I like to use the term, prosumer product. Nice side view. There's another thing that gets mentioned in Ben Combs' video earlier. The use of clear control knobs. And I have to admit, I should have showed it off more. And you see that on some of these more, but you can see how much of a difference it actually makes, and it's no doubt that Paul Reed Smith went with this because it shows so much more off of the guitar than a traditional colored pick or a non-clear control knob. So look at the back again. As mentioned, Grover locking tuners with the tulip style head on them. Also, as you'll notice here, and you can kind of see it, you can just see it basically slightly in sight there. Another big thing that they've done on this lineup, it looks like they're no longer doing the stickered, emblemed on serial numbers. So these newer Epiphones are actually coming with stamped into the headstock serial numbers. Excuse me, which I think is like awesome. Again, solid color. And it looks like, in this picture, I don't know why it looks like it's actually satin there, when the rest of the neck looks like it's kind of gloss. But that'd be kind of a cool aspect. Different placement for the tuner. Or sorry, not the tuner, the strap peg. So, let's see here. Mahogany body, mahogany neck. Again, as I mentioned earlier about the different woods, an ebony fingerboard they have on this. So again here, SG Modern figured classic SG profile made from mahogany with a AAA flame maple veneer top and a trans black fade finish, powered by Pro Bucker humbuckers with coil splitting phase switching, and CTS electronics. Features an ebony fingerboard in our world-class Groover locking rotomatic tuners with tulip buttons in an 18:1 ratio. So differences we see on this one: asymmetrical slim taper with a contoured heel. I really don't call that a contoured heel, but okay. Ebony with pearl trapezoid inlays. Real, actually, pearl? I don't know about that. Scale length 24 and 7/4. Number of frets 24. I did not notice that. I'll have to look at that in a second here. Pro Bucker 2 humbucker with coil splitting and phase switch. The neck and in the bridge, Pro Bucker 3, of course. So let's check that out. So pearl, quote unquote, trapezoid inlay. And 24 frets. So, I don't know. You'd have to be the... to me, I don't think that's real pearl. To me, it looks kind of like pearloid than it does real pearl. yous that are looking at this would have to be the judge of that, and can say so otherwise. And as regards to 24 frets, they're right. There's the extra 2 frets there. And again, they say that that's a fade, but in all actuality, it looks like an unburst, as they call it. So, again, Epiphone SG8 modern figured, $550 US. Real ebony fingerboard, coil tapping and phase shifting. Pre-order available January 20th from Z Sounds. Thank you, Tempest, for the like. So again, in our journey of the interesting, this is also an interesting one that I viewed earlier. This is your 2020 Epiphone Les Paul Classic Worn series at a $450 US price point. And apparently some of these are actually in stock at Z Sounds. And it basically is like a version of the Gibson Classic Series Les Pauls, except done in the Epiphone format, which is kind of interesting. So again, you can see the satin flat finish on the headstock, classic on the truss rod cover, the rather nice looking fingerboard, has binding, gold, chrome hardware, and again, it's a matte finish that apparently goes all around. The zebra pickups. These could be a nice sleeper little product for Gibson / Epiphone. This, you can see here the matte kind of really low amount of finish on the bodies. You can see the pitting. I noticed that when I was looking at this a little bit ago, which is fine because if you're not a fan of the gloss finishes, one of these and this kind of satiny finish would probably make you pretty happy. Again, here you can see what I was saying a little bit ago about the actual serial numbers now being hard stamped into the back of the headstocks. It looks awesome. These come with Grover non-locking tuners. Apparently handcrafted in China. I don't know about that, Gibson. Handcrafted. Handcrafted by CNC machines, maybe. Or hand finished and finalized by maybe Asian folks in the China factory, but definitely not handcrafted. Again, the nice kind of satiny kind of bare kind of finish going on this. Seeing the pitting Nice rounded backing edges on it. Side view of the headstock. I think I'll be honest with yous with the headstock change. Again, I really do like this move to this headstock. This looks, for some reason, a lot better than, say, like on the Joe Bonamassa signature and the Holy Diver model. So, let's go over the little read thing here again quickly. Les Paul Classic Worn Collection offers fans 4 vintage styled worn finishes plus powerful Alnico Classic Pro humbuckers available in worn ebony, worn heritage cherry sunburst, worn violet purple burst, and worn gold top. Solid mahogany body, plain maple cap, cut to the classic profile of a late 50s Les Paul. All Epiphone Les Pauls feature 14-degree angled headstocks for more pressure at the nut, longer sustain, blah 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 blah. Mahogany neck has an easy-to-play 60s era slim taper C profile. With a worn open green finish that combined with the worn colored finish gives the Les Paul Classic worn and elegant look. Neck, regular scale, 22 medium jumbo frets. Again, Indian laurel fingerboard with trapezoid inlays. 12-inch radius. Epiphone's famous sloped dove wing headstock has a bell-shaped truss rod cover and Les Paul's iconic signature in gold silk print along with the Epiphone 60s era slanted logo in mother of pearl. Interesting. Okay, so these Alnico Classic Pro humbuckers, Epiphone Les Paul Classic Worn Collection features 2 open coil Zebra Alnico Classic Pro humbuckers with Alnico V magnets, which provide a slightly higher output than vintage pickups and also has enough mids and highs. Each pickup has a volume and tone control with vintage style gold top hat knobs, plus Epiphone's all metal 3-way selector switch. So, yeah, so let's actually take a look at the bodies here and the colors. So, there's the ebony. Ebony isn't available right now. It's at pre-order. The metallic gold they actually have. They actually have it in stock. And it's not bad finish. Normally I like them with the black back, but I have to admit this looks really sharp with the, again, as you see here, the stamping looks really, really sharp with the natural. Here we see it again. I'm not sure if this is a contoured heel or if this is a scarf joint on the neck heel. It'll be interesting to see. And here's the last color, which again they don't have a very good close-up of it, but this is a pretty wild ass color, I think. The Violet Purple Burst. It's sharp. It's in stock and ships now. And again, thank you very much to those of you that are actually taking the time out of your day to actually view this stream and present to you better detail on what the Epiphone lineup that's released looks like. So let's get back to things. We have a very interesting guitar here. The Epiphone SG Classic Worn P90, which comes in at a interesting $380 US price point. Again, on pre-order. And as we see here, we have gloss, and a kind of metallic greeny kind of inverse green, and the cherry looks better on this one. The only thing I find weird is the pickup placements and also the fact that the P90s have screws beside them instead of actually just being mounted the regular way. So again, these are $380 US on pre-order. The Batwing style pickguard, 60 slim taper neck, Indian Laurel fingerboard, and the pickups are P90 Pro. So they are Sandcast Alnico V Magnet P90s. That's interesting. Everything the usual specs. P90 Pro soap bars. All the regular stuff. Shipping weight 12 pounds, so 6 pounds lighter than some of the other guitars we've looked at. So 380 US from, again, Z Sounds on pre-order. Here's where things are interesting. Again, like I was just saying about how this lineup has gotten interesting in some of the things that have gone on. These are, for 2020, the Les Paul Muse electric guitar. And they have gloss headstock. And as you'll notice, the color here, these are all sparkle metallic finished tops, I believe. Which is kind of cool, but also at the same time, I think they're a little kind of grainy looking, like doesn't look that nice. Would have to actually see one in person or whatnot. And the other thing as well with these is no pickguard. So let's actually scroll through some of these colors. These are $500 US on pre-order. So we have jet black metallic, pearl white metallic, which is kind of again. Again, seeing the clear, see-through control knobs. Again, Purple Passion. Radio Blue Metallic. Now, this doesn't look too bad with this effect going on. Scarlet Red. Which actually looks pretty nice. This color is a color I didn't know that they were coming out with, and I must say is actually, I really like this color. And it's smoked almond metallic. So it's kind of like a lighter, almost like a gold top color, but like really, really light. And the few instruments that these are on, I think it looks pretty sharp. And of course, for JJ's House Jams out there, we have the Wanderlust Green Metallic. So those are colors that Gibson actually wasn't putting out much on their own lineup. Might actually entice people to go buy an Epiphone version for the different colors. I don't mind the green in this one. So let's see. The stunning Les Paul Muse from the Inspired by Gibson collection features a lightweight chambered Les Paul body powered by high output Alnico Classic Pro humbuckers with coil splitting and phase controls, plus a treble bleed circuit to maintain clarity at lower volumes. The striking Les Paul Muse collections offers both new and veteran guitarists a lightweight chambered Les Paul body that's easier to hold thanks to the contoured belly scarf and thin rim. The Muse Les Pauls are made from rich Okume tone wood with a maple cap and single-ply white binding. The handset Okume neck has a custom C profile with an Indian laurel fingerboard with perloid trapezoid inlays, medium jumbo frets, and a narrow Graphtec nut. Now, that's the only thing that might turn some people off here, is that I keep reading narrow nut, and I don't know if they're meaning the actual thickness of the nut itself, or if they're meaning the actual width across the fretboard being narrow. Again, Alnico V Classics, Classic Pros, Grovers. I have no idea what Okume wood is, but doesn't seem to be a bad looking wood. So all the colors, all 7 colors, all are $4.99 US. Pre-order January 20th from Z Sounds. And again, to continue with the Muse series, we have the Epiphone SG Muse, which again, these are on pre-order, and these actually start at a $430 price point, which is not bad at all. Narrow Graphtec nut, Indian laurel fingerboard, custom C profile, mahogany neck, mahogany body. Again, the same features as the other one. Coil splitting, phase control, and treble bleed circuit. These again might be another little sleeper guitar that Epiphone puts out onto the market for folks. Here's my only kind of weird kind of gripe with these. The pickguard cover right there, they take everything else off except for this like little pickguard covering the tendon of the neck going into the body. It's kind of like So colors as we see here, as with the other ones, jet black metallic, which on my screen to me looks kind of more like a navy blue. Pearl white metallic. It doesn't look too bad. Purple passion. I almost think some of these colors that Gibson is putting into the Epiphone lineup, I think, are also to attract female players as well too. Radio blue metallic. Doesn't look too bad on this model. It looks better on the Les Paul style. Scarlet red. Doesn't look too bad. The smoked almond on this guitar kind of seems a little, I don't know. Again, Gold Top has so many kind of yay or nay kind of things. I think in this instance on this, it actually doesn't look too bad, the smoked almond metallic. And of course for JJ's House of Jams, the Wanderlust green metallic, which I think actually looks better on that. So yeah, 430 US pre-order Z Sounds, the SG Epiphone SG Muse. Now, this is probably one of the guitars I probably wouldn't mind picking up at all as well too. Epiphone SG Special, which comes in at $400 US on pre-order. Terrible picture in that regard, and the zooming not great there. But I tell you what, this is actually really sharp in the Pelham blue. Really, really sharp. And I will say in the sparkling red, it's even more sharper. And this is like 400 US for dual P90 SG. Specs: mahogany, Indian laurel, 22 medium jumbo fret. Fingerboard, Graphtec nut, dot inlay, P90 Pro soap bar, and again, the cool thing about this too is the bound neck on it. So $400 US. Again, Z Sounds pre-order, or somewhere else more affordable, the Epiphone SG Special. Apparently they don't have an image for the Junior in a vintage Sunburst, but I'll still go over it. 380 US on pre-order. Single dog ear P90. Oh my god, those specs. Oh, so big. Um, Vintage 50s neck profile. Indian laurel fingerboard as again the recurring theme. Dot inlay. 380 US. Pre-order from Z Sounds. Now we're into the last 5 or 6. I think it's like 6 here. Here's what the new Epiphone SG standards look like now. These come in at a price point of 450 US. And especially with this white one, it looks pretty damn impressive, I must admit. The inlays look rather nice. The white, alpine white. So basically you have alpine white. The black looks really nice as well too. Or the ebony, I mean. And the Heritage Cherry as well has a nice vintage look and vibe to it. But the Alpine White definitely looks very, very slick. It is kind of sad though that they couldn't get some of these fingerboards a little darker in color. Like especially with the white. That would look a lot sharper with white. Batwing Pickguard. You can even see the serial number stamped in there. Or anything else that's like so bright white. Handcrafted China. Now again, this here, like, ooh. With the white on it like that, it almost looks like the headstock's actually bound in white too. So again, what are these? Have again features. Batwing Pickguard, Alpine White, Ebony, and Heritage Cherry. Powered by the Alnico Classic Pros, CTS Electronics, and Grover Rotomatic tuners. 60 slim taper profile. Trapezoid. So it doesn't even say whether it's perloid or actual perloid-esque. Grover Rotomatic 18-1s, Alnico Classic Pros, 2-volume 2-tone, CTS Electronics, 16-pound shipping. I don't know why they'd ship them all separately. Is a Heritage Cherry going to be lighter than an Ebony or an Alpine White? But again, Indian Laurel fingerboard. And at a $450 US price point. I think again, these are going to be offering good value to the consumer. Again, Epiphone SG Standard. Now here's an interesting one that they've launched. And it is now the Uptown Cat ES in metallic colors, and also features the Firebird 720 ProBucker mini humbuckers. And I gotta admit, this These look really snazzy in the new colors. Wonder if they actually made the frets a larger amount. Grover tuners. Just a nice finish on the guitars. And these are at a $550 US price point. See if I can just do this. There we go. So sapphire blue, JJ's House of James, emerald green metallic with gold hardware. Guitar Hack's favorite color of hardware. Ruby red metallic. It's another sharp looking color on this. Note the 5-way binding on some of the stuff. And here we get an actual different gold. This is a Aztec gold topaz gold metallic, which looks really sharp. I thought actually the gold went around, but oh, it does. I thought it was two-toned. That looks pretty sharp with the gold. Again, 600 US. Semi-hollow. Again, another, like I said, with the weird wood fingerboard choices, this actually does come with an ebony fingerboard and the block inlays. It features popular maple laminate, 12-inch radius, 22 medium wide frets. So they actually have upped the fret count. These were usually only 20 fret guitars, and they're now 22 fret. Epiphone historic badge. The Pro Bucker FB 720s are Alnico 2s. Controls include gold speed knobs with volume control for each pickup, a master volume control, and a master tone. So there you have it on pre-order for 600 US. The Epiphone Uptown Cat ES. Here we have the new Epiphone Les Paul Customs. And remember how I was saying about the white looking sharp. On this, it looks really, really sharp. So they've kept this definitely traditional. This is at a higher price point though, of like 680 US. It's like, eek. But everything that are being put into this are like big things. Multi-binding. Traditional look. Traditional heel, traditional body. And that, it just looks sick. The only thing that sucks is that it's traditional Grovers, but it's not the locking. They really dropped the ball not putting lockings on it. And again, here's with the black. The black also looks very nice as well too, of course. So $680 US on pre-order. We have, go over this quickly, mahogany neck and body, binding top 5-ply white black, body black 1-ply, finger 1-ply, headstock 5-ply. It doesn't make sense. 5-ply white black body, black 1-ply. Mahogany, slim taper profile, ebony fingerboard, 22 frets, Graphtec nut, Perloid blocks. So there they say Perloid. Again, Pro Bucker 2 and 3. And the typical volume and tone for each pickup and 3-way switch. Again, 18-pound shipping weight. And again, $680 US. That is your 2020 Epiphone Les Paul Custom. Now we're down to the last 3, which are all LPs. Here we have the Epiphone Les Paul Studio, which will come in at a $450 US price point, and 4 colors. The very popular Smokehouse Burst, Alpine White, Ebony, Wine Red, which doesn't look too bad either. Regular profiles, rounded back. Again, Grover tuners. These come with mahogany body, plain maple veneer, no binding. Mahogany neck, 60 slim taper D profile. Now again, remember where I mentioned the fact of the different fingerboard materials being used? These actually feature a Paul Ferro fingerboard. 12-inch radius, 22, all the usual stuff. Nickel, stop bar, Epiphone bell shape of studio truss rod cover. It's weird that they mention it here, but none of the other models. Epiphone Alnico Classic humbucker in the neck. These actually come with an Epiphone Alnico Classic Plus humbucker. It's interesting. So these might be, again, you know, I've said this numerous times going over this stream, that these again they have quite a lot of sleeper products that are being launched here in the Epiphone line, and these again might be another one of those things. The only thing though I keep seeing is narrow nut, and if that means that it's going to be a narrower string pattern or strings along the fingerboard, that might turn some people off, especially myself. I kind of need a fair-sized fingerboard. Next up, again, 2020 Epiphone Les Paul Classic series. So again, this is another take on the Gibson classics. This one is in... Just go through the pics here quickly. So this one comes in 3 finishes: Ebony, Heritage Cherry Sunburst, and Honeyburst. And these will start at a $500 US price point. This is the Heritage Cherry one. Actually, this Heritage Cherry has a really nice, whether that's a veneer or not. If that's a veneer, that's a really sick looking veneer. That's a nice looking back. And lastly, we'll look at the Honeyburst, which has kind of a plain, this has a plainer top, but again, it's nice as well too. Well, there's a better view of it. It's not as nice as the Cherry one, but it's still a pretty nice looking guitar. There's again, like I said, that weird kind of volute thing on the headstock. And again, 500 US. These feature the, let's see, plain maple cap, so it doesn't have a veneer, so that's kind of a step up. Cream binding on the neck and body, slim taper profile neck, Indian Laurel fingerboard, trapezoid inlay, Graphtec nut, knobs gold with nickel insert, plating nickel, the Alnico Custom Pro humbuckers, both the bridge and neck, CTS electronics, 2-volume 2-tone. Again, ships at 18 pounds. So there's for $500 your new 2020 Epiphone Les Paul Classic. And last we have, this is the 2020 Les Paul Modern or Modern electric guitar, coming in with 2 colors, and again, it is just the top, a graphite black and a sparkling burgundy. And as we see, it's exactly like the Gibson model. And as you notice right here of interest, they got the funky heel carve going on. It is a 4-piece body on this, as we see here. And again, like I said, this weird kind of scarf joint-esque kind of headstock thing going on. So again, the graphite black and the sparkling burgundy looks really sharp on this. Really, really sharp. And again, the clear control knobs. Again, 650 US. And let us see, what do we have differences here? Inspired by Gibson Collection brings a refreshed look and sound to the world's greatest electric guitar. Get the high performance you need thanks to weight-relieved mahogany body with a maple cap and contoured heel. Pro Bucker pickups of coil spinning, phase switching, and a treble bleed circuit. The Les Paul Modern also offers pro features like Grover locking Roadmatic tuners with tulip buttons, an 18:1 ratio, Graphtec nuts, and an ebony fingerboard. That's right, ebony again. So, the thing that doesn't get mentioned here is the fretboard radius. The profile is an asymmetrical slim taper with contoured heel. 24-inch scale length, 22 frets, lock tone ABR, Pro Bucker 2 in the neck, Pro Bucker 3 in the bridge, 18 pounds. Again, pre-order from Z Sounds, $650 US, sparkling burgundy with ebony fingerboard and graphite black with ebony fingerboard. Not bad. So, in this short of 2 hours, again, thank you to those that have actually stuck around with me and watched, or popped along and watched at the same time as I've done this. Let's actually put me back into frame here. Bloop. All right. So back to what I was saying. Between the guild stuff and the Epiphone stuff, it's going to be interesting for sure on the guitar market, especially the sub 1000 brand, in regards to, say, like Guild, Epiphone, and Gibson. Let me take that off. I just noticed I had the desktop audio coming through, so it's probably sounding reverberating or echoey. It's interesting, and I think for any of the folks that are on a budget or that are going to be looking for an instrument maybe to gig with, definitely I think Guild and Epiphone launching these products that they have today and at the beginning of NAMM are definitely going to get those bills. And when you see like especially the Epiphone Les Paul Modern, that as well is, for people that aren't going to want to spend the, what is it, $2,000 I think it is for a Modern with the Gibson badging. Again, if you don't care about the top of the headstock or the name on the headstock, you're now going to be able to get a Gibson Modern for the price point of, half to a third of what it would cost Gibson wise. So I think that's going to be a killer deal there. The Les Paul Classic, the Studio, the Custom, I think will be a killer deal. The Epiphone Les Paul Custom, the standard 60s, the Uptown Cat is going to be pretty nice. The SG Standard will not be bad. The SG Special, I think, is a more appealing buy at $399. than say the classic worn P90 at $379. Just let alone for how the pickups are inlaid into the body better and the overall colors. And I don't know why they did that with the pickups in the worn P90. Put the side screws to allowed to go up and down. It just totally throws off the vibe of the guitar. Les Paul Muse is another one with the odd body wood, but again, if it makes the cost down and offers a good guitar, then not much of a complaint there. The SG Muse, it's pretty much a regular SG mahogany anyway, so there's not much of a big difference there. The classic and the classic worn are going to be pretty nice. The SG modern is kind of so-so. The SG custom I feel is going to be a good buy. The regular SG standard 61 will also be a not bad buy either. Les Paul Special, it won't be too bad either with the one color and at a $400 price point. Honestly, again, not to sound repetitive or whatnot, but just the overall Epiphone lineup that Gibson's launched is just going to be, it looks to be a better overall quality product. And I think as Aljan was kind of plugging it with Ben in his interview that Ben posted earlier, I think it really is going to offer the consumer better instruments for the money. Let's see, I'm just looking at the price difference between a Les Paul Custom and a Modern. A Modern is $650 versus $679. Ooh. That is actually going to be a fairly tough one there, I really think. Unless you're totally hell-bent on having the heel curve and the asymmetrical fingerboard and the fingerboard change. That's going to be a real fight in the sale-wise. Like, unless you got your heart set on the custom look itself, then yeah, it'll be a no-brainer. But I mean, if you're looking for a guitar that's in a high-end Epiphone in those specs, those are definitely going to be a tough decision to make between those two. And otherwise, there seems to be a lot of good stuff in the 400 to between the 400 to 600 range. There's a lot of good offerings in there for SGs, LPs, and hollow bodies. The only thing that didn't get announced here or listed, even though they did put them up, was the I don't think they actually listed the casinos or dots. Yeah, I don't think there was. I guess they're going to launch those a bit later. Well, anyways, just under 2 hours. Sorry to stop repeating myself, but again, thank yous for watching the live stream of me trying to show folks in detail all the Epiphone stuff that is currently on pre-order from a lot of the US retailers. Some of the pricing, some of the specs, some of the differences in wood, which again, if anyone's actually watched this whole amount of time, You can honestly say it's very interesting how they've kind of gone all over the board with that. With that said, have a good rest of your night, folks, if you are watching it Thursday night. If not, wherever you are, hope you have a good rest of your day, have a good rest of your week, and take care. Talk to you later. Bye for now.